Greetings folks, Two and Proper here, bringing you another unscripted event for YouTube. And this event is basically going to be focused on open carry. Before I go into this the rest of the way, I'm going to tell you my beliefs on open carry and why I support open carry, and then I'll go into the recommendations for open carry should you be wanting to do it. So far I've been open carrying myself probably about 60% of the time, maybe 70% of the time when I'm out and about. There are instances where I would rather concealed carry than open carry, just based on what's going on, whether, what the social situation is. But no matter what, when I'm going out, I'm always armed. And I recommend that you are too, just like a good civilian sheepdog ought to be. And I'm always armed, but and I have had experiences based on open carry. I will continue to open carry based on my belief in it and based on my support of that very legal right that we have. At least here in my state. There are other states that would not have that chance. Open carry. The reason I support open carry is that I know that an armed society is a polite society. Many people, including the frantic, will use terms like Wild West and things like that for why you should not open carry your weapon. As a matter of fact, back in the days of the Wild West, it was not quite the outlaw shoot 'em up that people think it was. It was a polite society. There were some laws that weren't on the books then. There were some rights that some people didn't have. But really, there were things you didn't try in the Wild West that you can get away with murder today. That argument there doesn't really hold water for people that like to use that term. And if you're an anti-gun person and you've ever used that term Wild West, you have zero imagination. Anyway, I'll go back on with this. I support open carry because I believe an armed society is a polite society. I believe that it's very good to have it be apparent, visually apparent wherever you look, that there are people conducting themselves peacefully who are armed and have the capability to meet and defeat violent crime on the spot, to defend themselves and to defend innocent people in their surroundings. I am very much for that. So I believe that an armed society is a polite society. I believe that the more people that are present and capable of defending you in a time of need, right there on the spot, versus waiting for the law enforcement authorities to make it there after the crime has already been committed, is a very necessary thing. And I think it's a very advantageous thing for society. And I do believe that if we were an armed society, both visually and in knowledge, to the criminals and to everyone around, criminal activity would drop as a matter of the reality that, I don't have as much of a chance to do this crap because, Jesus, everybody's got a gun. It's just simple logic. There's no way you can argue that logic. So that's my belief system right there. And I also believe in the Second Amendment that we have the right to bear arms. And I think that the government has no place in telling us how to bear our arms and with what we can bear arms as ordinary citizens. That said, you want to go out into society and open carry your weapon, and that is very commendable if you do. And if you do, the very first thing that you should probably think about before you hit the streets with a gun on your hip or wherever you're carrying it is, one, it's going to be on how you carry yourself. People can tell if you're ultra conscious of your weapon. If you're out there fumbling and touching your weapon, adjusting your gun belt and adjusting your magazines, you change your walk or whatever the deal is based on you having something tucked in your belt. Society is automatically going to be threatened because you look like an insecure person with your weapon. So think about it before you do it, and think about carrying yourself the way you should always carry yourself out in society. Carry yourself professionally, be friendly, and Don't be messing around and showing people your gun and stuff like that. Put all of that stuff out of your head. This is not a show. This isn't about style or fashion. This is about the Second Amendment and supporting it and the ability to protect yourself and people in your surroundings. Remember, people are first threatened by the gun. They will be threatened by that firearm. It doesn't matter if it's about to save their life or not. There's people out there that are too dim-witted to realize that. So there's going to be people that are threatened by the presence of your firearm. So try to carry yourself in such a way that they are not threatened, and so that they can see that we can handle ourselves with our firearms. The next thing is how you dress. Don't go out into the streets with army clothing on and a gun strapped to your side. Don't go out dressed like you're in the militia. Don't wear a do-rag and a tank top and sag your pants and go like you're about to go knock off a liquor store or some shit like that either. If you want to carry a firearm, dress and carry yourself like you're not out to do any harm, like you're not out looking for trouble. And whether or not it's a pretty notion about me describing both of those styles, as far as how you dress, if you want to carry a firearm, you're going to have to give something up. And so if you dress like Thug Life or if you dress like G.I. Joe, you're not going to get well received, and people are going to feel threatened. People may even call the police. If you want to avoid that, dress like you're not up to something. Also, leave your gun in the holster. Never take the gun out of your holster. If somebody walks up and questions you about your firearm, what is that you're carrying, right? Don't touch it with your hands at all. You can tell them, I'm carrying a Smith & Wesson SD9V or whatever it is you're carrying, right? But do not pull it out of the holster. That's impolite in the gun community, and it's impolite out among the non-gun carrying community. That is called brandishing your firearm, and that's an entirely different animal. Don't let your gun leave your holster. Keep it there. Be ready for people that you know, family and friends. Be ready for them to question you. Because if you decide to carry a gun, and it's not something that you've always done, and they see you with a firearm on your hip, they are going to ask you why you are carrying a gun. Stand by your beliefs. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you open carrying your weapon. Personally, I just tell people, because I've taken an even stronger stance on the Second Amendment, and I'm just deciding to protect myself. And frankly, as I get older, I really don't have the physical stamina that I used to. And so really, having something to level the playing field for me is a pretty good proposition. Get ready for people, your friends and family, to ask you why you're all of a sudden doing this. Some of them will take issue with it, some of them will not. Don't let them sway you. Another thing is that good police will support your open carry. However, they're going to have to answer if they're called, especially when somebody who wants you to be in trouble for carrying your gun calls, whether you're doing it or not, and says he's out there with a gun looking threatening. You could be sitting there picking your nose in a restaurant and somebody's calling the police saying that you've got your gun out. And take that into account, that some people are going to be automatically threatened. They may call the police and exaggerate what you're doing with your firearm. You may not even be touching it, and somebody's going to be going, "Oh my God, he's got a gun!" And just get ready, because that could very well happen. And if the police do approach you, if you're carrying your firearm, don't be dicks to them. It doesn't matter if you have a right to carry your gun. Yes, you do. If you're in the place where you do have a right to carry your gun. That's my asterisk right there. Don't carry where you're not legally able to. But if you're legally carrying your firearm, yes, you have a right to do so. Do not give in. If the cop says, "I don't want you in here, I don't want you out here walking around with your firearm," or whatever the deal is, you're going to have to say, "Well, I've got to politely decline. I have a right." A lot of cops will respond based on them not wanting to be there. And the reason I know that is when I was being instructed, one of the instructors, who was also a policeman, said, I don't think you should open carry though. And he was telling us as a class, don't open carry because people will just freak out. And the issue that I have with that is that if people are freaking out about something that you're doing that's a right of theirs, the problem really is theirs. And maybe they are the ones who should adjust, not us. Because we're exercising our Second Amendment rights. They are the ones that should have to adjust, not us. If they're freaking out, they can go to their analyst or their psychiatrist or their therapist or whatever and talk to them. But that does not mean that we should have to give up our rights because others are freaking out. But the police, if they are called out, are doing it because they were called out. So don't be a dick and don't refuse this, refuse that. Don't videotape them and make issues like some of these other morons on YouTube that go out just to videotape police violating their rights. Now, more times than not, when I'm out open carrying, nobody even notices. I'm not referring to my gun. I'm not touching my gun, right? And nobody's noticing. You know, people are just going about their own business. If they see the gun, I have had some people say things like I had a guy yell out behind me, "Really, my man? You're going to carry out in the open just like that?" And I could hear it behind me, right? And I was going to turn around and say, "Oh yeah, my man, just like that." But I didn't. I decided not to because he said it behind me. I'm not going to address people shouting at my back. You know, he could have been a man and said it in front of me or asked me or confronted me or whatever. And I would have told him, "Yes, my man, just like that." But people are going to respond differently than you may think. Some people will support you. Some people, no matter what, are going to like take that opposing viewpoint because they're still on the state-run media buzz and they think that they're dangerous. But other than that, do it proudly and do it professionally. And again, watch the way you dress. All of what I told you is going to go out the window if you're dressed like you're about to knock off a liquor store. I can't emphasize that enough. Whether or not it's fair, what we're trying to do is get the public to embrace and accept the idea of protection, of your right to protect yourself, of your right to protect yourself via open carry or concealed carry. We're trying to get the public to embrace and accept that. If you're thinking about open carrying your weapon, I thank you. And many other people at open carry thank you too. There's nothing wrong with you open carrying, especially if it's your right. Continue to support your Second Amendment because rights that are not exercised are rights that can easily be lost. Well, thank you for watching. I am Too Improper. Be sure to catch my blogger.com site on Blogger, and please check out my other videos. Thanks for watching. God bless America, and long live this frickin' awesome republic.